Sorprendente aparición de Vladimir Putin con un equipo de combate al frente del informe militar con estos generales de guerra. Vamos a estar viendo qué es lo que ha dicho, qué es lo que ha explicado, sobre todo en esta reunión que ha llevado a curso precisamente con sus generales y qué es lo que puede pasar a partir de estos momentos, con una serie de reuniones en las que se entiende, ahí lo tenemos, Vladimir Putin, que no es un presidente más, él también quiere estar junto a las tropas y también quiere tomar responsabilidades de lo que suceda en el campo de batalla, en el caso de ser necesario estar presente en estos búnkers, que ahora mismo se denominarían, ¿no?, los búnkers de la invasión, de la operación militar especial en Ucrania. Vamos a escuchar y vamos a ver qué es lo que están comentando. Atención. Vamos andando, entrando. Esta sala que ya nos tienen acostumbrados también a ver. Se ponen todos de pie para recibir a Putin. Muy orgullosos.
Comrade officers, Comrade Supreme Commander of the West Group, Gennady Pavlovich Kulikov. Comrade officers, dear comrades, good afternoon. We held similar meetings on October 25th, and at that time the meeting included the Chief of the General Staff, the Chief of the Main Operations Directorate, and the commanders of two groups, the West Group and the Center Group. Both the commander and the Chief of the General Staff reported on the situation that had developed at that time in Krasnoarmysk and Kupensk, where you managed to block large enemy units. Also participating in our meeting today are the Chief of the General Staff, the Chief of the Main Intelligence Directorate, the Commander of the Operational Command Staff of the West Group, and the Commander of the South Group, the former Commander of the South Group, who has been appointed to a new position as Deputy Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation. I am confident that he will utilize all his knowledge and experience as a combat commander in his new position. This is essential today. I'd like to hear from the Chief of the General Staff about the situation in the Center Group's area of responsibility. I didn't invite the commander today. He needs to address the challenges facing him. We know what's going on with you, but I'd like you to report on the current situation. Then I'd like to hear from the new commander of the South Group. This isn't a new job for you, considering you were the chief of staff of that same group. In this sense, we have complete 100% continuity. Who, if not you, knows the situation better in this area? You, as they say, literally and figuratively, have the cards in your hands. I would ask you to focus your report on the situation in Kostiantyn.
Bueno, pues fijaros, ¿no? Porque a ver, ya Putin dice, no, yo sé que hay algunos comandantes que no han podido venir porque están luchando en los combates activos en Ucrania, ya lo dice, pero sobre todo esto es muy interesante porque ahora vamos a ver si realmente lo que dicen los rusos sobre los beneficios en el campo de batalla y sobre todo los empujes en el campo de batalla son reales o no, porque al final estamos viendo que también están tardando mucho, son aldeas que están ocupando, pero al fin y al cabo ciudades no están cayendo masivamente, como por ejemplo Pokrovsk no ha caído del todo. ¿Qué es lo que está sucediendo? Vamos a ver qué es lo que dice el comandante porque, bueno, tal vez pueden haber situaciones en las que el ejército ruso tal vez estaba muy envalentonado, dicen desde Ucrania, en ese cerco alrededor de Pokrovsk. Atención.
Nivka. As far as I know, fighting is already underway within that town. I would also like to ask you to focus on the overall situation in the Kramatorsk-Gorshkivsky direction. In general for this agglomeration, and of course around Seversk. Then I would ask the commander of the West Group to take the floor and report on the situation in Kupiansk, as well as on the left bank of the Oskol River. I'm referring to the Kupiansk junction and the surrounding area, where, as far as I know, you also managed to block a significant enemy force. The total, including all the strikes, was 18, the chief of the general staff is now reporting. Approximately 15 battalions. How do you plan to continue working in this area and in your area of responsibility in general? On the left bank, we have the 6th Army and the 1st Tank Battles. Could you tell us more? And Valery Alexievich, I would also ask you to report whether it is possible to create conditions, as I requested, so that the servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine do not have the opportunity to lay down their arms and surrender, given the situation in which they find themselves. Comrade Lieutenant Commander, these conditions have been created, and given the desperate situation, many service members are naturally making the decision to surrender. However, most of them under...
Aquí también habla de la rendición, ¿no?, de los soldados ucranianos, o sea que Vladimir Putin ya informa sobre esta rendición, los tanques, por cierto, que están saliendo en el campo de batalla, y vamos a ver lo que dice el comandante.
Threat of execution or destruction by their own drones are unable to carry out this task. Meanwhile, Ukraine's political leadership has given its troops no instructions on this matter. I see. In fact, we already understand what Ukraine's political leadership is. It's no longer political leadership at all. Since March of last year, a group of individuals, a criminal gang, an organized criminal community, has usurped power and, under the pretext of continuing the war with Russia, is holding on to that power in Ukraine for personal enrichment. This has now become a well-known fact following the results of Ukraine's own anti-corruption investigation. I think it's clear to everyone that these people, sitting on golden pots, are hardly thinking about the fate of their country, the fate of ordinary Ukrainians, the officer corps, and especially the ordinary soldiers. It doesn't give it to them. But you and I have our own tasks, our own goals. The most important of these, of course, is achieving the goal of the special military operation and solving the problems set before us by our fatherland and the people of Russia. The Russian people are counting on you, hoping for the results the country needs. Let's get to work. Valery Vladimirovich, please go ahead. Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, the armed forces continue to carry out their missions in accordance with the plan of the special military operation. The troops of the joint group are advancing on virtually all fronts, building on the successes achieved during the spring and summer campaigns. The enemy is seeking to halt our advance while focusing its efforts on stabilizing the situation in the Red Army sector. Within the boundaries of responsibility of the North Group, the establishment of a security zone in the border areas of the Sumy and Kharkiv regions of Ukraine continues. The group's assault units are making successful progress in the southeastern part of Vovchansk and...
Bueno, lo que dice Putin prácticamente es que el ejército ruso está ganando prácticamente en todos los frentes, que los drones rusos no sirven, y además ha hablado mucho de la rendición de estos soldados. Ahora vamos a estar viendo, después de publicidad, la respuesta, en este caso, del general Gerasimov, pero a ver, prácticamente el general Gerasimov está confirmando lo que dice Putin, o sea, ya lo ha dicho él todo, lo que está sucediendo, prácticamente rodeados, incluso al mismo tiempo ya dice, ¿no?, que la política ucraniana se ha salido de madre y que solamente están pensando en temas criminales. Ya los ha llamado, tropas criminales, y que no piensen en la política para nada, porque lo que tendrían que hacer ahora es rendirse sabiendo la gravedad en el campo de batalla. Nos vemos como siempre en el próximo capítulo, amigos. Un saludo y hasta luego.